you struggle with knee complaints and you're an office worker, knee complaints can be meniscal irritations, ligament strains, instability, any of those sorts of complaints. Or something like if you've never had it diagnosed by a health professional, you might just say, oh, my knee hurts. If you do have knee pain and you're an office worker, it's really important that you consider what you do over the course of a day which may be contributing to that knee problem. Knee pain that you get may not occur when you're sitting at your desk. You may notice the knee when you run. You may notice the knee when you kneel down with you and play on the floor with your kids. You may notice the knee when you do some work at the gym. Knee pain that presents outside of work can absolutely be caused by what you're doing inside of work. At the ERGO Collective, we believe that people's poor static postures are the cause of most people's body complaints. And when you talk about poor static postures, where do you do most of them? At work, of course. It's really important if you do struggle with knee complaints that you consider what you do with your body over the course of a 40-hour week. It's really important to think about the ergonomic, the behavioural, and the postural elements of what you're doing every single day at the office, which may be contributing to that knee pain. So let's have a chat a bit more about the knee anatomy and how it's designed to work, and see if we can troubleshoot your knee pain and give you a tangible explanation as to why it's occurring. Let's talk about the knee and its anatomy and how it's designed to work over the course of a 40-hour work week. When you sit at your desk, where the knee likes to be is at 90 degrees flexion. The knee is a hinge joint, so it likes to flex and it likes to extend, and it has a small degree of rotation through it, but primarily it's a hinge joint, and its most stable positioning is when you've got a 90-degree level of flexion through it. What knees hate more than anything is extreme flexion and extreme rotation, because what it does is it puts a twist through the joint surfaces, and it means that the joint surfaces no longer track evenly through their range of motion. So more often than not, if you have knee complaints, it's generally a result of a rotation or a twist through the knee joint because of your postures or your behaviours over the course of a work day. When you sit at your desk, when you put a twist through your knee joint, for example, when you twist and talk to a colleague on the side, or if you unconsciously tuck one leg underneath the other when you're sitting at your desk, what it does is it puts your knee into a really vulnerable position. And if you hold this position in for a long period of time over the course of the work week, what will end up happening is you'll end up with knee joint irritation. You can end up with meniscus issues, you can end up with ITB issues. You can also have some chronic strain through some of the ligaments of the knee. When you're sitting at your desk, it's really important that you sit with your hips at 90, your knees at 90, and the weight of your legs should go through your heels. This is the most stable positioning for you to be in over the course of the day. And if you can maintain this position, most knee complaints will sort themselves out. If your office chair is too high, it can predispose you to knee complaints. You can see if my office chair is high so that my feet are not resting comfortably on the ground, there's all this strain and tension going through my knee because the weight of my legs is traction in them. What we do to alleviate this is we tend to put our feet up on the legs of the chair, which puts your knees into this flex position, which they tend not to like for any extended periods of time. It's really important that when you sit in your office chair that your feet rest comfortably on the ground. And if you cannot do this, a footrest is required. Sitting with your foot tucked under like this is easily the single biggest cause of knee complaints amongst office workers. You can see when you put your leg into this position, what you're firstly doing is you're putting your knee into extreme flexion. As we've discussed, this is a position that the knee doesn't like. Then you double down on that by hooking it around your other foot. And what that does is it puts the knee into extreme rotation. This classic combination of extreme flexion and extreme rotation puts huge amounts of stress and strain through your knee joint. And as I said, it is easily the single biggest cause of knee complaints. Crossing your legs also contributes to knee complaints. This is a more masculine style of crossing your legs where it's not crossing one knee right over the other. It is when you cross your legs so that your ankle rests on your opposing knee. As you can see, to put your leg into this position, you're putting your knee into extreme rotation again. What you tend to do is you put strain through the outside ligaments, and what you also then do is compress the inside cartilage. If you are struggling with knee complaints, this is a definite consideration. Sitting on a leg is one of the worst things that you can do for your poor knee. As you can see, when you sit on a leg, you put that poor knee into extreme flexion. This is the single most vulnerable position you can put your knee into. It puts huge amounts of strain and tension through that knee joint. It's really important when you're sitting that you do not sit on your leg and that your feet are both sitting flat on the ground. This posture is extreme, but people definitely do it. And how they manage to sit comfortably with their legs in this position is beyond me. You can see having your legs in this extremely torsion, twisted position, how much pressure and strain it puts through both knees. First, the top knee is in extreme flexion, and then if you have a look at the torsion and the hinging through that bottom leg and through that knee, it's no wonder you have knee complaints. Both knees are vulnerable from this sit-in posture. The last postural consideration in terms of knee complaints is when you cross your leg over and your top leg drags the bottom leg across your body. You can see the weight of my leg is dragging my bottom leg across, and it creates this nasty twist and torsion through that knee joint. This will lead to all sorts of knee complaints, so it's really important that you try and not cross your legs when you're sitting at your desk. The first behavioural consideration in terms of knee complaints is when we pivot around our feet while sitting at our desk. This behaviour can creep in when we've got a colleague off to a side or a doorway off to a side, or we have to twist for some documentation regularly off to a side. As human, we like to shortcut movement patterns, and if we twist regularly back and forward from a side, we get lazy with our behaviours and we anchor our feet and then we just twist our torso. You can see the nasty angle it puts through our knee joint when we pivot around our feet. We put huge amounts of compressive load through one element of the knee and strain through the other. It's really important, if you are in these sorts of scenarios, that you're really disciplined with making sure your feet follow your torso every time you turn away from your desk and then come back to it. This behaviour is similar to the other one in that we're pivoting around our feet, but this is probably a more extreme version of that. This behaviour creeps in when we tend to get up and down from our desk a lot. What we tend to do is we tend to sit on the edge of a chair and we swing ourselves around to face our monitors, but what often happens is that our legs don't come around with us, and what we end up doing is we're having this one leg which is off to the side despite the fact the rest of our torso is facing the square. It puts a nasty torsional rotational strain through the knee joint and can lead to knee complaints. Another behavioural quirk that can cause knee complaints is when we sit with one foot slightly abducted from us whilst we're sitting at our desk. We can do this as a result of pivoting around our chairs, but we can do it as just a behaviour. The problem with this is you can see it puts this nasty angle through this knee joint again. So you end up with compression through the outside of the knee joint and you'll strain the ligaments on the inside of the knee joint. Sitting like this is terrible for your knees. As you can see, how you sit at your desk over the course of a work week is really important in maintaining really good musculoskeletal health. Fundamentally, in your body, every joint, ligament, muscle, tendon, bone, it's all got a really specific role, and if you use it how it's designed to be used, generally it'll look after you. What we're hoping is there was something in this video that jumped out at you. whether it was a behavioural quirk, whether it was a poor posture, whether it was an ergonomic issue. What we're hoping is one of those things jumped out at you, and if that aligns to your body complaint, there's every chance by addressing this and fixing this, your body complaint will settle down. If that wasn't the case and you're still a little bit unsure, what I would suggest is to continually just check yourself over the course of the day. What is my head doing? Where is my elbow? What are my feet doing? If you can continually check in with your body over the course of the day, you'll actually realize that you have a lot of consistency in terms of your postures and behaviors. And if you can identify those quirks and change them, generally you'll find that your body is in a much better position. If you would like a little bit of one-on-one attention, what I would suggest is booking for a clinical assessment with one of our staff. That way we can go through all fractions of your life to try and ascertain the cause of your complaint. Sometimes it's a little bit complicated and sometimes it's not easy and straightforward. And this is where a formal clinical assessment with one of our staff is probably the best idea for you. At the end of the day, how you sit at your desk affects your body both inside of the office, but actually more importantly, what it does outside of the office. At ERGO Collective, we're your partners in office health.